Friends, Romans and Patriots, lend me your ears and strap on your fucking tinfoil hats because it's time for the Gay Frog Chat. Gay Frog Chat is a weekly panel discussion where we go chin deep into a different conspiracy. This week I thought we'd talk a little bit about the bread and circus that is the Super Bowl that everyone just witnessed and all that stuff going on and whatever else you guys want to talk about. But the Super Bowl is gay. I mean, wait, can I say that?
What?
Well, the Super Bowl is made for vagina fags.
There's a bunch of gay dudes who like the Super Bowl a lot.
That's true. That's definitely true.
I mean, there's like dudes in spandex who are like athletic and big. They're like, oh, that's what I like.
See, I like that when they're naked and fucking each other. But when they're just running around on a field in spandex, it doesn't really do much for me.
But they're all chasing after one ball.
Yes, that's not enough balls in it.
At least they're wearing protection.
You can technically say that this Super Bowl was gay because there was a player named Matt Gay. That's not a joke.
Oh, this football player's got to go. Wait, what?
Hey, ho, ho.
So, yeah, I mean, I actually slept through part of the Super Bowl and then took the opportunity where there was no one on the roads to go run some errands and go to the store and do some shopping and come back home and make dinner. And it was nice that I didn't have to deal with lines at the grocery store or dumb people on the road because all the dumb people are at home watching football. Ironic, isn't it? Then I was at the store and I was talking to the guy. He's like, "Whoa, what do you think about the Super Bowl?" And I couldn't help but be honest with the dude. And I was like, I basically said it's the bread and circus that's distracting the American people away from the things that actually matter in this country. And more people know about their local sports ball team than they know about their local senator. And he was just like, $29.98.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Out the normies.
What I get for telling people the truth. And then I was thinking like George Carlin, like think of how dumb the average person is and remember that half of them are dumber than that. Like, yeah, that's apt.
Yeah, it is really. I think the thing is, especially I think in the last 2 years, I mean, it's been interesting because speaking of the tinfoil hat thing, people coming, we've talked about it before, but people kind of coming back into my life saying, "Whoa, dude, you're right about this," or, "Hey, can you tell me more about that crazy stuff you used to tell me about?" The conspiracies, and especially with like the UFO disclosure stuff, and then like that. I mean, what's been happening with like how people in power are optimizing a plan to reset society and like the ESR stuff.
What is the latest on UFO disclosure right now?
So pretty much it's been like, as far as government, it's been pretty, it's moving at the pace of government, which is like just behind a snail's pace. They are releasing a bunch of redacted documents. The Camelot project, they have been kind of on top of it, been like open sourcing a lot of the documents, but like nothing.
What was it, like a year and a half ago that Mexico released a bunch of videos from their Air Force about shit that they've seen?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone was like, well, if Mexico does it, then we're going to be next. And then Trump was in office and he was like, hey, we're going to release all the documents on this and that, and like JFK and UFOs and all the fucking stuff. And then JFK was like a big fucking bust. Like there was nothing released on JFK really that wasn't already fucking out there. Mm-hmm. Very little bit, small exception to that. And then the UFO stuff, everyone was like, that was last year. It was the budget proposal or whatever that they passed that had as an amendment to it, UFO disclosure by like May of last year in it or some shit. I don't remember the exact timing, but that was a big bust. Like the government, if they know anything, which I think they probably do, seem like they're never going to tell anybody about it. Like they're going to just lie and deny till the end.
Well, and the thing is, especially, I believe it was like July 18th when was their due date, and they gave us a bunch of documents that were black lined through, but they did confirm unidentified aerial phenomenon, so they relabeled the acronym. So the Project Blue Book stuff that got released. There's a little bit more that's been trickling out from that. Nothing really super interesting in my personal research. France has been unloading like a crap ton of stuff, but it seems like nobody cares because it's France. So, yeah, but they are a NATO ally. I mean, they're a NATO force, so what their information is our information. So a lot of people don't seem to, because like a lot of people like when I show them like the French documents translated, they get like kind of, well, it's France, so like the Mexico thing, they have like this American superiority, like, oh, well, it's not our government saying it, so I don't believe it or I don't care about it. It's, I think there is some of that where people aren't taking what the international governments have been leaking out. Like after the fall of the Soviet Union, all that top secret stuff, when it got leaked out, no one cared because it was Soviet Russia. So,
well, it's really hard to trust anything coming out of Soviet Russia or China. Like, they may be telling you the truth, or they may be lying. They may be lying to fuck something over that is in the works. They may be telling the truth to fuck something over that's in the works. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't really trust any government organization of any country around the world. Period. I don't think there's an exception to that. Is there any government you guys trust?
Papua New Guinea.
All right, we're moving to New Guinea.
Sometimes.
Well, I mean, at least in like places like Mexico, it's like, yeah, the government's corrupt as fuck, but if you have some money, you can like bribe your way around and basically do whatever you want,
That's the way it is here too. You just need more money.
Yeah, well, it's a lot more money to bribe people here, though.
Exactly. But you think Hillary Clinton didn't bribe people?
A couple thousand pesos will get you out of a ticket, though.
Actually, it's about 20 to 30 for most judges in Mexico. Ask me how I know.
Oh, I was talking about the cop who pulls you over. You just give him 1,000 pesos, he leaves you alone.
Sometimes. Depends on who it is. Federales don't leave you alone.
Well, the federales are involved with the mafia, the fucking cartels, just as much as anybody else is,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Mexico's a crazy place.
It
I was
is.
watching a food channel thing about like Mexico City's different foods. Like, they eat some nasty shit there, bro. And everything is like cooked in like just lard. Like, hey, what is that cooked in? 5 gallons of rendered pig fat. Like, sure, it tastes good, but Jesus, you wonder why like you see like Jabba the Hutt Mexicans walking around,
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at like when you watch those videos of those people running across, doing the border charge, like how many potato-shaped women are, man, they're quick. I was like, wow, look at that little potato run.
So if you guys have any questions out in the chat, give me an @eHonda. And as always, super chats are welcome, but not necessary. And I appreciate those in advance if you do. Eduardo Espinoza says Taiwan is hand-counted elections. Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know where that came from. Again, give me an @eHonda. I don't really have a whole bunch of subjects for tonight. Ghost Shadow says, what would happen to the NFL, MLB, and NBA if they got zero tax dollars and had to build their own stadiums? That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. And then
like, think about how much money they gave just in Denver, like for Mile High Stadium, and they don't even call it that anymore, and they called it Invesco. And what is it called now? It's something else.
Empower.
Yes, Empower. Oh my fucking god, dude! Like, what in the fuck?
It's just some like .com. Remember like back in the day when it was like pets.com stadium and like it was just like
Petco Stadium.
Yeah.
Do you think people are gonna like fucking shop more at Petco because their favorite sports ball team's stadium is sponsored by it or something?
Yeah, it's kind of it was ridiculous. Remember, like we had Sports Authority, which was a sporting goods store that went bankrupt. That was originally.
They gave so much money to have their name on the fucking stadium.
Yeah, and plus it's like they're a national chain that overcharged people. It's like, as opposed to paying $100 for your Nike shoes, we'll charge you $150.
I mean, I've been to a Broncos game, like I think 2 actually in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
and it's goddamn expensive. Like for like the nosebleed tickets, it's like $100 a ticket, and that's like, wow, you got a ticket for $100?
Mhm.
Usually they're like $200 if you have a decent ticket. 3, 4, 5, like $1,000 if you got a box seat or more.
Yeah,
It just seems like a waste of money.
yeah.
Then you got to drive down there. They got to pay for parking. If you want close parking, it's like $60.
You mean to
You
tell
go
me
inside,
that
you
it
get a
costs-
beer. Your beer's $8 for a fucking beer.
You mean
It's
to tell me
12.
that it costs $0 to stay at home? Jesus, that seems like a great option.
I went to the game this year. So my family, so my grandpa, he was a season ticket holder since the 60s, and it's generational. He just passed this last year. So my family has them. So I only got to go to one game this year, but it's like $400 a seat where his seats are, because they're on the lower level, on field level as they call it, near the 30-yard line. Anyway, yeah, it was it's like $12 for a beer, which is ridiculous to me. But $400 a seat, and that was like the only reason I got that ticket was because my cousin couldn't go. But yeah,
I would honestly still watch football if they didn't use football players, celebrities, teams, all that stuff as a way to push social justice narratives and like all the stuff that's gone around football and other sports for that matter too. It's not just football. But they use that shit like a bludgeon to hit people over the head with to get them to comply. Because, you know, like, you're going to be sitting there with your black friend watching or whatever, and then that commercial comes on, and you have that, like, uncomfortable silence about whatever it is that you know what I mean? Like, God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to watching football and, like, being like, that cheerleader's hot. That was a good play. Ooh, did you see that hit? Like, that's what it was about. It wasn't about, like, well, if you look at the ethnic diversity of the NFL, it's really like a slave market from the 1800s. You see how they measure their arms and how high they can jump? Very similar to the slave trade. But then, you know, there's like white dudes in the combine too. So,
yeah. I mean, have you seen like even more recently? I've noticed in more recent years, it's like the linemen have paled up a little bit actually compared to when I was a kid.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's just like there's just a lot more like white guys on the that are on the offensive and defensive line, just as linemen.
Is Saberwolf a white supremacist?
No. I'm an equal opportunity.
He believes that the white folk are better at linemaning.
No, it was interesting. It's just like when I was a kid, it wasn't like that though. It was just kind of, it was like, what happened?
You should have played football, Ray. You'd have been a monster.
Huh. Everybody always wanted me to play football. I had a guy chase me across MSU once trying to get me to play football.
You should have done it.
No.
I mean, watching football and playing football are two completely different things. If you're watching football, it's like boring.
I'm a giant girl. Like, I didn't like hitting people. I don't like hitting people. Like, nothing about football appeals to me.
Touche. That's fine.
How's it going, everyone?
Like,
hey, what's up?
Can y'all hear me all right? I'm on my cell phone tonight.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Did you play football, Corey?
Actually, I did in junior high, and I broke my hip. And I didn't find out until my senior year of high school that I broke it, and now I've needed a hip replacement for 20 years.
Holy fuck. Ray, you made a good decision by not playing football.
Exactly. Except it was two of my own teammates that caused it, because one hit me up high and one hit me low, just because they didn't like me. So, yeah.
Although the football locker room does sound neat. I want to go into that one.
I will say that my ankle hurts currently because of football. My right knee had ACL surgery, not directly because of football, but I believe partially because of football. My left knee aches all the time because of football. My shoulder hurts because of football. My fucking elbow pops because of football. Like, all of this shit, dude.
My knee hurts because I fell off a hotel bed.
I was more into baseball. I started playing baseball when I was about 4 or 5 years old and all the way up through high school.
I played baseball all the way until high school, and I stopped in junior high. Just focused on
Why
football.
did you stop? Why did you stop playing baseball? What was it?
Because I didn't like it, and because X-Men was on TV. It's true. I hated baseball practice. Baseball
I
practice
fucking loved it.
sucked ass, dude. It's just like the most boring thing. I played outfield, so it's like, oh, we're gonna hit a fly to you.
Yep. Yeah.
But see, for me, I love baseball. I loved it to the point where I was in high school. I got hit by a pitch and broke my arm, and I refused to quit playing. And I think that's what caused it to break more to where it was almost broken half because I just kept playing.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I probably had a couple of concussions because of football, and I definitely hurt my neck at one point. Doesn't hurt anymore, but like if at some point in the future my neck starts hurting, I'll know why. You know,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Football's rough. Clint
For me,
Torres. Oh, good.
No, I was just gonna say, for me, I always enjoy playing sports rather than watching it.
Oh,
To me,
absolutely.
watching it was just as boring. I mean, I did it. I mean, I watched baseball, football, basketball. I quit watching in the recent years just because the shit got way too fucking political instead of just playing the game what you're supposed to do. So
If you break into my house and I yell, "Honey, get the Velveeta," just remember that door was locked for your protection.
right?
Dude, that fits surprisingly well in the Velveeta box.
Well,
I
you
can't
know,
tell.
it's government cheese and government ammo. So
There's that 308, 308 isn't
There
it?
you
Or
go.
the 223. I can't tell.
Yeah, I was like, because the screen's really small for me. I was like, is that 7.62 or 5.56? Like,
that's 5.56. It looks like.
Yeah, it's 5.56. Drink this much every day. Democrat Kool-Aid to maintain that blissfully ignorant anti-American liberal state of mind.
speaking of bread and circuses and propaganda and sports, like when you were talking, I wanted to go back to that point, Honda, that you were talking about, like where they had the combine commercial, Colin Kaepernick thing, and like my question though is like, they like unlike the bread and circuses of Rome, they were just purely entertaining people. I mean, obviously it's masochistic. You're just watching people stab each other to death or fight other animals and either get eaten or stab the animal. Right? There was no political message. It was just pure distraction. Right? Just pure entertainment distraction. But like we've turned our entertainment though into everything has to be political. Like I mean,
Well, hold on
I
real
know-
quick. I honestly, do you believe that there was no political messaging during people going to the Coliseum and watching the shit and getting free bread? Like, this bread brought to you by Caesar.
Oh, 100%.
Caesar, the best emperor you've ever had. He's a god king incarnate. You must listen to him.
The shit that they were giving out at the Coliseums was like the version of like swag now. Like they would give away clothing with fucking politicians' names on it and shit. Even like some of the comparisons are like scary.
Okay. I mean, I'm just like, because I'm trying to think of the analogy in my head, like, like, 'cause, going back to the memory, of like kind of, okay, they couldn't be as like, I guess, nuanced or subversive or consistently inundating because people weren't plugged in like they are now, right? Like, I mean, you had a barely literate society. I mean, you still had a literate society, but like, compared to now where everyone can read and everyone's absorbing everything always on their phones or watching things and it's always the same message coming across, right?
But what we have today is the results of that. I believe you have the bifurcation of the nation because you have a portion of the people who don't give a fuck, don't pay attention, don't know, don't care, and will just go along with the flow. You have a portion of people who watch the propaganda, buy it wholesale, drink the Kool-Aid, believe it, true believers, all that stuff. And then you have another group of people like us who go to the source of the information and get like the actual facts correct in our head and make viable arguments. And it's like so detached from what the state is saying for people and, like making them think. I mean, when you watch CNN, they don't just tell you the news. They tell you like a little half fact, and then they spin it and spin it and spin it and tell you what to think. And then you can tell the people who listen to that shit because they make the same arguments.
And the people who are making the same arguments are not even doing any mental work with themselves. It's like what our society has been doing since the Industrial Revolution with school. It's like to be quote unquote highly educated, it's not being intelligent or being able to think through a logical problem. It's just you hear a fact or recitation. That's all it is. It's memorization and recitation. That's what we call education now, as opposed to like discovering knowledge for yourself, getting a hands-on approach, and fully understanding all aspects of a concept and, how to think critically. And
I've always tried to like emulate to whatever extent that I'm able to the Renaissance man, in which you are a person who is knowledgeable about things, who tries to do, like stay physically capable and active, who like, you know what I mean? Like there's like multiple levels to it. And there's so many people out there who are just devoid of any concept of taking care of themselves, taking care of people around them, taking care of your own mental stability, like working for the future, finding out information, fighting for rights, like engaging in social discourse. Like all of this stuff is just too much work. I might as well just concentrate on my local football team because I can understand that. And so I'll throw all my energy into that rather than like if people put like, I don't know, 25% of the energy that they put into the sports teams that they watch into understanding current events and like whatever's going on and what they need to know, really, if they're going to vote and they're going to be part of our society, this whole country would be different. And I wouldn't be as opposed to like mail-in ballots and that kind of stuff, because more people would actually be informed and have an opinion that matters. And even if it's different from mine, at least it's based on facts rather than propaganda.
I think we should have a 5-question test that's like, what color is the old gray mare, and other questions like that, that you need to pass that test before you can vote. If you can't pass the trick questions, then you just don't get to vote. That's my conclusion.
Some people need to take an IQ test as well.
Well, like that would be preferable, but I think that would like eliminate too many people, to be honest.
I don't see what
Probably.
your IQ test is if you can like answer a couple of questions correctly. Like you've done the research. You had to work harder at it because you're dumb, but fine.
Actually, though, I mean, this kind of parlays into a never enough's like kind of wheelhouse, because like I mean, we're talking about sports as like the cultural zeitgeist or the cultural glue that people use to distract themselves from and have a sense of. But what about like now that geek culture is so prevalent in our culture that outside of sports ball, like now has been propagandized, and things that weren't intended to be propagandized are being invaded, turned, twisted to the point like where it's like the ship of Theseus, mental exercise. At what point is it no longer the thing it says it is, right?
When the machines rise up against the humans, just pray to God that you're nowhere near a dildo factory.
Well, here's the thing: everything is propaganda if you let it be, right? Like the Super Bowl, for instance, or a new Star Wars movie, or whatever the fuck it is, right? If you're letting it be the distraction, then it's working. If you're aware of the distraction, it doesn't work.
I think it does to some extent. Like, it doesn't work on us completely, but think about how much more information we'd have about things that are going on if every time that you watch a Marvel movie, you're watching a documentary instead.
Yes, but then you start... I mean, if that's your thing, cool. If that's not your thing, then you are removing bits of joy out of life for what? To further cement an opinion you may already have about something?
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, which is why I don't do that, right? Which is why I do enjoy things that are outside of the realm of, like, crazy, stressful, worldwide conspiracies that are going to enslave our children and grandchildren and so on. You know what I mean? Like, but those things are important enough to me to, like, understand at least the history and the facts about the situations to what extent I can.
Yeah.
Versus there's a vast majority of people who, when confronted with these ideas and facts and things, turn into an ostrich. Like, I don't know if they're afraid of it and like confronting this idea is just too much or what the deal is, but they just won't even look at the fucking information to begin with. And that, I don't know how to get over that hurdle with people. And I've decided that I don't care anymore and I'm not going to try. Like, if you're on board, you want to listen and you want to contribute to the conversation that I'm part of or whatever, great. If you're like dissidently, angrily opposing things that I say and being disruptive to the conversation, like, I think it was Mark Twain who said something like, don't argue with idiots. They'll drag you down and beat you with experience.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, and that's the thing though, like, I mean, I guess like I don't know, maybe this is old man guy talking here, but like seeing like from like in the 90s, right? Like, yes, propaganda's been around, as you guys were saying, since the time of politics existing in memoriam, right? In ancient history time as well. But like, it seems it was like when in the 80s, 90s, it was far more subtle and wasn't as ham-fisted. Because when there was an example of something very ham-fisted, we all knew it was like our bullshit meters went off, right? Like when Honda, I don't know if you remember when Captain Planet came out, and it's like, no, this isn't a real superhero. This isn't like the X-Men, cartoon, or like the Spider-Man cartoon or Batman cartoon. No, this is some, as a kid, at least for me, I knew my bullshit meter went off with it.
Yeah, that was Ted Turner, correct?
Yeah, so it was like, yeah,
and
this
shoved it down our throats while building the fucking Georgia Guidestones at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's this, like, he creates this AstroTurf like superhero, makes puts like Happy Meal toys out, like really tries this huge campaign. And none of my friends played that, played with those toys or pretended to be that character. We were all thinking Wolverine, who we were all fighting over who would be Wolverine when we were playing outside. You know what I mean? So
sometimes I would root for like the dude, the sludge guy.
Yes.
Captain Pollution or whatever his fucking name is.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, it's like this obvious, like, I mean, if I could like sum up kind of like when, like, I guess you say the SJW culture kind of really took off in like the last 10, 15 years. Well, I should say it became less subtle and more obvious in like the culture war. It's just the same thing that happened to me when I was a little kid. My bullshit meter went off and it was like, oh, this is just like Captain Planet. So,
because at a certain point, things became mainstream. They're like, right, like there was a period in time when, whether it was Captain Planet and the environment or whatever the fuck it was, or the way that Gene Roddenberry would slip all kinds of messages into fucking every episode of Star Trek to make some fucking point about, society and humanity and whatever the fuck it was.
I don't know what you mean. There was like that whole episode where like people were half black and half white, but opposite. Like, I don't know what that was about, Matt.
No, I don't know.
I don't know what he could have been hinting at.
Yeah, I have no idea. No, not a clue at all when Riker was having issues fucking some
with the transgender bitch.
Whatever the fuck. I don't even know. What.
Twink twunk.
Yeah. So like, because that stuff was not as openly accepted, right? So there was no, no matter what it was, whether you agree with it or not, those were not commonly accepted ideas as far as things that you could just.
Think it's funny that the first on-air interracial kiss was Star Trek, and that it was between those two who were so obviously not into each other.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, that's been going on for. It's not just Star Trek. I mean, Family Ties or Growing Pains or The Cosby Show or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like all the shows that I watched when I was a kid, almost every single episode they tried to have some like moral message that you would get through the point of the show, right? And like, you might say that's propaganda or whatever, but look at shows today. Do they have anything like that? Or is it all just like degenerate behavior, like sexual overt imagery, like overt fucking violence and blood and gore and stuff like that, like action scenes that you couldn't have made 20 years ago, like that kind of stuff?
Who can do the more stupid tricks?
Jackass.
Yeah, Jackass. And
also I think if you watch television, we went from a period of, if we want to get a certain message across, we create a scenario where there is a problem and a solution to help a character come to a certain realization about whatever the fuck it is. And now it's just, there's none of that on television. There's none of that in movies. If you want to say something about somebody who's homophobic, you just have a fucking one character walk up to another character and, you know, say, "Fuck you, it's 2022," and that's it. And that's the end of the fucking conversation. There's no
dialogue, no growing as a person.
Yeah. There's no Carl Winslow moment where he actually he actually talks to them like, you know, the ignorant racist guy or homophobic guy, whatever, as like, you know, say, hey, you know, try reasons with him, right? And has that moment where the music, the soft piano music cues in, you know.
Dude, go back and watch The Jeffersons. Yeah. Fucking genius, fucking hilarious, overtly racist in several different ways, but they made fun of it. They made fun of it, and they made it funny, and they made the racist attitudes seem dumb, and they made the non-racist attitudes seem smart, right? And that's kind of how it should be, because if you're like judging people solely based upon the color of their skin, like, you've got a problem. The problem, though, in 2022 is, who are the people who are judging the others by the color of their skin? Is it the whites? No, it's not. It's everybody else. But then there's also the self-hating whites.
Well, no. It's mostly white people who are judging white people. Let's be honest here.
Well, that propaganda bleeds off, though, and you see it in society. Like, look at where I work. I catch a lot of like hate and vitriol from people who are from different colors, who are propagandized from this bullshit solely based upon the color of my skin. When I'm being a waiter, like, it's like the 50s in reverse, dude. Only difference is no one's getting lynched yet.
Oh, and the thing is, though, it's like, if you try to just, even as tactfully as possible, use just logic and reason to, like, you know, exonerate your standpoint, like, yes, I deserve to exist with my immutable facts about me. It just as that, as a concept, is taken with utmost hate and vitriol. Like, it's, you know, we have to
be like for trans or gay or whatever your preference is. It's like, well, you know, you can't tell people what they should and shouldn't do. Like, if they like that thing, then, you know, they're going to do it, and you should just support that. And, you know, everyone's got their preferences, and you should just, you know, like, that's something that God gave them, and you can't judge them for it, right? To now, it's like, well, if you don't sleep with the tranny, you're not actually a real man.
Well, right. You are, but, you know.
It's like, what happened to preferences? What if I prefer not to? Well, I'm somehow bigoted against transgender people.
You said you weren't a real man.
Want to have sex with a transgender person?
You said you weren't a real man, so I don't know what it has to do with what you just said there. But like,
oh, it's yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. It's it was a response because a guy came back, I think it was like in 2019, that caught on with the super straight, like, he's like, well, if you're going to invent new genders or, you know,
well, the
whatnot,
super straight thing was hilarious.
Yeah, so he did that to troll, because like the guy's like, well, you're not really straight if you won't sleep with a trans woman. And then so the guy did a TikTok video back. It's like, oh, well, this is my, my gender is super straight, and that like caught on like wildfire, went super viral.
Well, I mean, like, think back in the day, right? There was the chicks in high school who would like make out with each other, and everyone would be like, "Oh my god, it's so hot," right? And you'd like go to the party, and there'd be the two chicks on the couch making out, and like 15 dudes standing around watching. And that's why they were doing it, in my opinion. Especially in like a public setting like that, like in front of a bunch of people. You're doing it because you're putting on a show and you like the attention.
Well, it's like kind of like the thing, the disingenuous thing that I run into more often than not, and I think many of you may as well that are out there, but like the liberal women who are married, have kids with a guy living a totally normal life, but they have like, they say they're part of the LGBTQ and have all the pride stuff, right? They wear the fashion of it and said, well, I dated a girl in high school, so that makes me, or in college. You know what we called it when I went to college? Those were lugs. Lesbian until graduation. Like, that's all they were, and they are like claiming this identity and using it as fashion when in fact they have. It's like something that's been so common since like I don't know, since women were going to
it's different
college.
now than it was.
All
It's
women
way
are bisexual.
What's that?
I think all women are bisexual.
well, things have gone way the fuck down the
Most.
fucking line from where they were at when we were kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Infernus was talking about it last night or the other night when he was on the show, on your show, Matt, where he was like, yeah, I was at my friend's kid's birthday party. Like, we went over there for that. It was like a bunch of like 9-year-old girls or whatever. And all they talked about the entire night was LGBT this and LGBT that. And I'm part of this group and I identify as this. And look how cool I am. Like, that's the fucking propaganda. They've gotten to our kids. They put it in their head that this is the cool thing to be. You should be like this if you want to be one of the cool kids. And they're going to rebel against it one day when they fucking find out like how much they've been lied to. Or maybe it'll be too late. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it's hard to take back all that dick sucking.
Well, I actually do. I'm on board with you, Honda. Like, it's just, I think in the last 2 years when parents are now kind of more aware of what's been going on with the Zoom, like offsite education or whatever. And I think it's been more like kind of enlightening to like the normal parents who've been distracted by everything to actually see what's been going on. And also what their kids talk about with their friends when like overhearing Zoom calls or whatever, because now it's not just, friend. Anyway, what I'm trying to say though is like it is really creepy to see how the teachers unions, the NEA, everything, they're campaigning to have this utter control of children. Like, what was that article in California that came out?
What did Matt do? What did Matt do?
The NEA, what did Matt do to fucking get to the children?
Oh man!
Quit messing with children, Matt.
Matt, stop putting chemicals in the water that are turning the kids gay.
I thought he just wanted to teach him trigger discipline. So what?
With his middle finger.
Exactly. So when like this is all coming to light now, like parents are like really freaking out because even like the people who were like I should say center left, a relative I've been talking to about it. She's actually because they've been shifting the goalpost so far, and she didn't realize how far it was until her kids started doing offsite learning or whatever. And it's actually she's been coming to me asking me questions because she sees me post about this stuff on social media.
It's enough to get me to be like to question whether I should have my kids in public school or not. And honestly, like that's a question that I think all parents at this point, in light of what's been going on, you need to look into your kids' schooling and find out what they're learning. Look at their homework. Look at what they're turning in. Read a little bit. Find out about it. And then you'll know whether or not they're being propagandized. They are slightly at my kid's school, like especially certain teachers, like my younger kid's English teacher. She's a fucking lefty cunt.
Oh, it's always the English teacher.
Is that parents these days aren't as involved in their children's school as it was as I was growing up. I remember all my friends' parents and everyone involved was more involved with the school, so they knew what was going on, what was being taught, and et cetera. That's not happening anymore.
Well, I think it's the technology that's making us stupid and lazy, honestly.
True. Very true.
Like, sorry to Ted Kaczynski, everybody, but like, look at what's going on with okay, I'll give an example. When I was a kid, I would leave the house. I didn't have a cell phone, but I would know every one of my friends' phone numbers without writing it down off the top of my head. And if I was like near a phone, I could call any one of my friends just by thinking of their name, and then their number would pop in my head and I would dial it and it would be like, hey, is John there? And like now, I don't know anyone's phone number except for my own. Like literally, I know nobody's phone number at all. Why? Well, because I don't need to know it because the phone
it's in your phone. I still remember phone numbers of my grandparents, our home phone when I was a kid.
Well, shit, if you didn't know the phone number when you were at your friend's house, like you're fucked.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I mean you look at things like, well, kids' homework and parents checking up on it. Like when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, if you had to write like a term paper, right? You had to like write a couple of paragraphs and give it a title and cite some sources and do all that stuff. You had to go to the library, go to the Rolodex thing, find the area of the library that might have a book pertaining to the subject that you want to write a paper on. Go to that area of the library, pick out a couple of books, read a couple chapters out of each of the books until you find some good quotes or information that you can put into your paper. Now it's like Google, boom, 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 copy, paste, done. You know? Like, it's like so much easier. It like takes way less effort. People are lazier than they were. And then like you look at like our parents, they work their asses off because that's just what it was. But then our grandparents made our parents look like lazy fucks. I wonder what our great grandparents were like, you know?
Oh yeah, no. Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's all. I was just gonna say, are we getting worse? Yeah, I think so.
Well, I think the thing is though, like I'm gonna agree with Ted Kaczynski Honda here, that and the problem is though is like because it's so readily available, so easy. There's like everyone's like, well, why actually do the work to actually verify what you're researching, right? Like you can go just to Wikipedia, copy paste, maybe add some sentences or reinterpret the paragraph or whatever, but you're not looking at there's no impetus to look at the citation, to compare different sources or different researches or different papers and actually really delve into the actual papers. It's just like at best we're getting the skimmed copy of the cliff notes of the information. Whereas like, college, like to get a true liberal arts degree back in like, the 1940s, 1950s, you spent most of your time in the library pulling out books, comparing research notes from like 20 years before to, current published papers. And yeah, it's a completely different dynamic now. And I think ultimately what technology has placated to like probably one of the worst traits of humanity. Yeah, Teddy K. It's laziness. It is our.
Now it's time for him to get black hole again for another 2 weeks.
Oh man.
Here we go again.
Yep. FBI's coming for you, Ted.
HBO Matt dropped in $5 and said, "Sent you the vid links, Honda. There's a hit piece out in local news now too. Says the cops thought we were going to attack their station."
It's probably
all right. Well, I will definitely look at that and make a video. I'm going to reach out to a few people about this because I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else I can do. But I'm definitely going to do that.
Wait, I'm not aware of the HBO Matt situation. Is he the Canadian trucker thing or?
No, he's the 2A First Amendment auditor thing in Texas where he was carrying a gun with a silencer and the cops tried to fuck with him and now they have warrants out or some shit.
Yeah, his neighbor called the cops on him thinking he was there to assassinate her friend.
Yeah, he's an assassin. This just like adds to my don't carry NFA items. Seems.
Yeah, he also said that when the cops showed up to the apartment that they asked where the gun was and he had to point to his hip 3 different times before they realized it was right there in their face and on his hip.
He should have drawn it and stuck it in their face. I'm sure that would have gone over well.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that there is a legitimate purview and need for police. I also honestly believe that what the police do in this country, and most countries for that matter, is not that.
I agree, and this is something I've been very, very passionate about as well. We gone from the era of the police officer. Not saying like this is obviously a Hollywood interpretation just for the sake of language, but we went from an era where the police officer lived in the neighborhood, was a part of the community, like Andy Griffith. Not I'm not saying, I know that's a fictional, romanticized thing, but like what I'm trying to say though. He was part of the community, right? The people who's interacting with was his neighbors, or but now we live in this militarized police force where they don't even live in the community. They live in the safe neighborhood, and commute into where the police station is. They're not part of the community. I mean, I'm not saying all cops are like, sorry.
Here's all the celebrities not wearing masks during the Super Bowl while in LA, and if you're a student at an LA high school or junior high or grade school or whatever, you are required to wear a mask at all times, and you get in trouble if you're not. But these guys don't have to. It's a great look.
But I agree with Saberwolf though. When I was growing up, I knew all the local cops. They knew everybody in town. Granted, we were kind of a small town though, but I mean they were involved, and it has changed though. Like you said, they're all in the rich, nicer neighborhoods, the safer neighborhoods. Just not in.
One time I was like walking my bike up this giant hill by my house because it's too steep to ride the bicycle up, and a cop turned on his lights and like beeped him at me and got on his radio. He's like, "You stop right there." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like 12 years old. Like I thought I was in trouble for something. And he opened his door and popped my bike in the back and gave me a ride at the top of the hill.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, like he was nice as fuck. He just wanted to mess with me, Like that's what a cop should do. That's exactly it. That's what a cop should. They should be there to help people. Oh, you see a kid walking up here, let me pick him up. When I was an adult, long story. My buddy had a dog, and he brought him over with him, and then had to leave the dog at the house, right? And then someone else came over, and I opened up the door, and the dog ran out, and I ran after the dog. I didn't have shoes on. There was snow on the ground, and I ran up to the street. This cop fucking sees what's going on, stops his car, lets me in. We chase the dog all the way back to my buddy's house, like 3 miles away, right? Get out. I wrangle the fucking dog into his backyard. I turn around, and the cop's like, "Sorry, gotta go." Hops in his car and fucking ditches me, dude. I was 3 miles away from my house without shoes on in the snow. Cops aren't always that great. He tried to help.
I mean, at least he tried to help. I mean, there's that element.
He should have realized that he just fucked me over, though. Like, seriously bad.
I remember one time there was this DPS officer that always was around our area, and everybody knew him. And he pulled us over. I was probably 6 or 7. And my sister is special needs, and she's 2 years older than me. Always scared of cops, authority figures, etc. Well, when he pulled us over, it scared her so much that she jumped out and started running down the fucking side of the road. And Mom looks at the cop, and the cop's like, "Go ahead." And she took off running after and came back. He felt so fucking bad that he just let us go. It was just a minor, traffic violation, running the stop sign. But, I mean, he stayed with us, consoled Mom, made sure everything was all right, and just said, "Fuck it, go ahead." So our cops in our area were pretty fucking cool.
I mean, by the time I got to be a teenager... Oh, good.
Growing up in Tulsa, you get like the worst trained cops in the world because we're like just podunk enough not to get any money, but just big enough to have all the problems of a big city. So they're all fucking trigger happy, and like if you're anything like tall or big or black or anything like that, you better be real careful with the police in Tulsa.
I don't know. Like growing up, the cops were cool in my area, and then like they decided that they get lots of tax money if they go after the rich people's kids for shit. And so if you had your car look like a teenager's car in any way, you were going to get pulled over. And they were going to try to search you, and they were going to try to like do everything they could to like prove that you had weed in the car or something that you were doing was wrong and give you a ticket, because they knew that mommy and daddy always had money to pay for that ticket, and that like added to their bottom line. So it sucked after a while, but when I was a kid, they were pretty cool.
I think we should just get rid of cops. Fuck it. Full anarchy. Let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I mean, before we do that, this is more like a halfway option to that. I think that the police, not just like, the leadership, not like sheriffs or police chiefs or things like that, should be elected cool, but I think individual officers should be held accountable for their actions publicly. Not just in a court of law where like they're buddies with the judges and the prosecutor, like they're really involved with these people they work with. They're coworkers essentially. But like, I think the public should, be able to hold them accountable and, say, hey, this cop has been doing shady stuff.
They're supposed to have that ability, but the second you fucking put an argument against someone or you like put a complaint against a police officer, everyone rallies behind them in the police force. They rarely get in trouble, and then they start targeting you sometimes, because they think that you're some kind of troublemaker or whatever.
Oh, like that
Zorro
guy in
dropped-
Chicago.
hold on. Zorro dropped in $5 and said, "Nope. Google and copy paste might work in high school. It does not work in university scholarship source library or online database." I was just talking about how do you do the research, and like, here, let me copy paste the source for the information. You know,
Mhm.
not even talking about copy pasting like the content of the paragraph that you're stealing from. Like usually what you do is you just read the fucking paragraph and then you're like, okay, let me write that in my own words, you know?
Mhm.
The scholarly source thing is not that hard either. It's basically its own Google thing that you just log into, and it goes through all the different fucking things in JSTOR or where whichever one you use.
I never got a good grade on an English paper in like middle school, high school ever. Like I got like passing grades, but I never got like an A plus, you know?
Mhm.
Because they'd always find something that, you know, like spelling error, grammatical error, like, oh, you didn't cite this the way that we wanted you to. Like, look at your booklet that we gave you at the beginning of the semester. We asked you to do it in this notation, and you did that notation. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. And you know how many times I've used that in real life? Nev to the And I write quite a bit. I write, I read, I do things. English
know,
didn't help me with their little fucking nitpicky fucking Karen bullshit.
I found all my writing classes to be handy.
I did well at them, but it's useless in my day-to-day life. Like, haven't used it since college. So,
Well, I used it to like do Instagram, and then I've like tried writing some books and shit, and I wrote a shitload of papers in college. Then I wrote a shitload of papers working for fucking bullshit companies. So it's like it came in handy, I thought.
yeah. Hey, Honda, image of a simpler time. Remember when everyone was around the globe chasing the monolith?
Whatever happened with those?
They just the individual artists that, because the first one was in Utah, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Utah, and then they started popping up in different locations around the world. Like other artists like took a hint and started doing it, and then I don't know, people got bored of it, and then 2020 happened, and so I don't know.
Either that or they brought about the Mayan apocalypse by putting their fucking aluminum pipes down the ground.
Well,
Oh,
if you look
man.
at this fucking thing, there's obviously rivets, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Here, right here, right here, right here, right here. There's rivets. Like that thing is
Obviously
fucking man-made. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like unless aliens use rivets too, I don't know.
Which
Maybe.
they might. I mean, who knows?
Rivets are good things, I guess. It's a technology.
Maybe they stole them from us. I mean, we stole
Yeah.
laser cannons from them.
No, that's where
That's
we
cool.
got them from.
You know what it
Like,
is?
how are they putting this shit together? Oh, it's rivets.
Because in the new Halo TV show, they're going to use AK-47s that still have rivets. So they went back in time. The Covenant went back in time. They saw the technology of the rivets because AK-47 is still good. It is perfect. And so they went back in time using a rivet technology to put the monoliths here to
You
use to the
know,
Halos.
sometimes I wish I understood the words that were coming out of Sabretooth's mouth. Or Saberwolf.
Zorro drops in $2 and said, "Sorry, Hana, I interrupted what you said. Sorry. Why are you? Don't be sorry. I'm sorry if you think that I was like angry at you. I was just explaining like what I
We're
meant
very angry,
more
Zorro.
precisely." And then Daniel said, $5. My bad. Didn't mean to delete Zorro's message. What message did you delete? Everyone's fucking with Zorro tonight, man. Sorry, Zorro.
Damn it, Zorro.
You're good, dude. So I did watch 10,000 BC last night.
What did you think?
Actually, I thought it was a pretty well done movie. Like you guys
I
kind of
like
set the
it.
bar pretty low with the way that you set it up, and as far as like, well, it's not going to be that good of a movie. So I was like thinking, like, I don't know, War of the Worlds or something.
Well, it's best that you don't think it's going to be fucking Shakespeare going into it.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It wasn't Shakespeare, but it was a decent movie. It was a great story.
Mhm.
It was a little
love
hard
the
to
story.
follow the path that they like. Where would they have walked? Was it like South Africa that these white people were living at, and then they like walked over mountains and followed the Nile River across the desert to get to Egypt?
I have no idea.
Because that's the only route that they could have possibly taken that didn't go over like a small ocean or sea.
I was thinking it was like this when I saw the movie, this is what I thought. I thought they were like near Turkey, like the mountains of Ararat, like kind of the steppes before you get there, and they went south, and they crossed over through.
Yeah, but they follow that really long river to Giza, and the only
Yeah.
long river that leads to Giza starts in Central Africa and goes through the
Right.
Sudan and then through Egypt as the Nile.
Okay.
That is all correct, which is made me wonder as to the geography of where these people were supposed to be, especially where they started off in temperate.
Well,
they went
that,
over
like,
they went over like what seemed to be the pole area. It was like
I
really
love
cold
the
area.
mammoths. The mammoths at the Giza.
Yeah, and they should have been elephants at Giza. They
Yeah,
should have
you
been
think?
like honestly, there should have been African elephants if they were going to use elephants. But whatever.
I just love that they had woolly mammoths at Giza in the desert.
It might overheat a little bit.
I know. Okay, so Yash says 10,000 BC is just for entertainment, nothing else. Historically, it's worthless. I understand that it's not a fucking true story.
But like some of the bits and pieces that like they used for their inspiration are true.
So
I think it's interesting.
One that's like kind of
hold on, Matt, go.
I'm a little blown away that anybody thought for 1 second that anybody took that movie seriously.
No, man, like that happened. The girl with the blue eyes, it was a prophecy.
Is that a problem? Like, are there people that take that movie seriously? Like, we need to know who these people are. They shouldn't vote.
So, like the chick with the blue eyes.
I don't know. I'm pretty fascinated with that period of human history because there's no historical written account of anything that happened.
I actually did rewatch it this morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
To the spear tooth.
It's fine. Like, I watched it again, and I think every time I watch it, I like it a little bit less. So I should probably just stop watching it. Because I found myself skipping through whole sections of the movie because I'm just like, this is boring.
There's a bunch of that stuff.
Fast forward. Yeah,
I mean, they could have done the backstory a lot better than they did, and that was probably what you're thinking of. But like the parts where I don't know, he killed the fucking mammoth, or he befriended the fucking saber tooth, or I don't know. There was some cool shit in there.
There is. I think the first time you watch it is the time you're going to like it the most.
Probably.
Because I've noticed every time I watch it, I like it just a little bit less.
Do you notice things that you made that make you like it less?
Well, the thing that I say that I like about it, though, is at the end of the movie, I wished that it had kept going.
Yes, it was just getting to the interesting part, right?
Right.
For me, half the movie is just them traveling, which is cool, and there are a couple of cool things that happen while they're traveling, but most of what happens while they're traveling, which is the entire middle of the movie, is just completely pointless. Like, it's him learning shit about his father that we're never gonna fucking know because he's dead, and him talking about how much he must find this girl that he loves, and then him getting advice from Travis from Fear the Walking Dead through the movie before shit goes down. And it's just there's vast sections. There's an hour you could cut out of that fucking movie.
Oh, for sure.
That's just pointless. There's no reason for it to be there. It's just there to fill time because Roland Emmerich thought he could write a love story into some weird fucking story about Atlanteans building the fucking. I'm assuming Atlanteans building the pyramids.
Do you think his general premise is plausible and/or correct, though, that Atlantis people ruled Egypt like god kings at one point?
I mean, I suppose it's as possible as anything.
Well, I mean, Egyptians all talk about Zep Tepi, which is the before times or whatever, and we got the story of Atlantis from the Egyptians, saying that that's where their people came from.
Yeah, I mean, it's as plausible as anything else.
I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, no, I like the idea, but yeah, The movie's fine. It just really is too long. I guess that's my main thing is like, Roland Emmerich likes to create these big overblown stories and all this stuff, right? And he's usually pretty good at it, even when it is 2012. You take a movie like 2012 that's got a runtime of like 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? And that movie is so packed with shit that happens, right? Like it's just one action scene after another, after another, after another, after another, and shit's just going down.
You can forgive all that shit because 2012 has E. Honda himself watching Super Volcano go.
But my point is, like, Roland Emmerich's really good at that. Roland Emmerich trying to do a story that's half of a love story, not so much. I thought
it worked okay. Like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like, oh my fucking god! Like, get back to the. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't.
It was pretty far from Attack of the Clones.
I feel like what he was trying to do was do his own version of Titanic.
Yes,
like this love story in the middle of this other big weird thing that's happening, but we're gonna focus on the love story in it. And he's not James Cameron, and he didn't make it work for me. But I still like the movie. I still find it cool and fascinating just because it delves into all kinds of ancient civilization stuff.
I want to watch Titanic now. Fuck you, Matt.
No one really knows the answer to this question.
Mm-hmm.
But when was the Great Pyramid built?
Well, supposedly it was like 5,000 BC. But like in reality, I think that thing looks like it was built like millennia before that. Like, who knows?
Okay, and I'm not an expert on Egyptology or whatever, but it's my understanding, and I might be wrong, that there were no original like writings or whatever on the walls of the Great Pyramid.
The only marking found inside the Great Pyramid was Khufu's name inscribed in like graffiti. And that's why they think it was built in 5,000 BC, because they found fucking charcoal scribbled on a wall in the 1800s that said Khufu. And they know that Khufu reigned in 5,000 BC. And I'm like, that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, because like, in Egypt, one thing that they would do is like, well, I'm the new ruler, so erase the shit that says that the last dude built it and write my name.
I think the pyramid, because it doesn't have any fucking markings in it, is some really ancient mystery that was made just explicitly to state that there was an intelligence here. Like, that's why they left it markingless, because they knew over the time shit would get mixed up and like mistranslated and confused. But if you make this perfect building with like proportions that measure out to, you know, various math shit, it'll be like the permanent evidence that you were here. I think that's really what it is, and I think it's from a long goddamn time ago.
I have a question for, like, I mean, just like what you're. This is just a pontificating question, but like that when they did the sonar imaging the Great Pyramid and they found that vacant area, right? Like they haven't explored it yet. You can't get to it, but like that has me curious because like the inside the pyramid structure, it's not a tomb. It's not, you know. It was jerry rigged to be a tomb, I guess. You know, later on.
I think it's a meditation chamber.
Okay.
Like it could be a lot of things. Like I like the theories about it being a machine or a power plant. That makes more sense than a tomb. It's really weird on the inside. It has these weird big ass rooms with tiny, tiny corridors between them, and these shafts and shit that point for like astrological observations. At least best we can figure, that's what some of those are for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of shit that doesn't make any sense about the Great Pyramid.
It's just a landing pad for the great ship that comes by every now and again.
Going back to Roland Emmerich movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, with Stargate. But
if you listen to Mason people, they think that walking through those catacombs in a specific order teaches you how to get through life. So
like a prayer labyrinth?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Like they think it's an entirely religious thing.
Daniel dropped in $5 and said, History Channel told me it was either ancient astronauts or time travel.
It could have been time travel and Jesus spearing mammoths with the spear of destiny on a velvet painting that's 8 feet wide, 9 feet tall in your castle.
As far as like how they moved those giant stones into place, though, I think that's pretty well established at this point. That they had like basically like little miniature cranes that were like powered by an ox or whatever and a human. And, like, you work together to pull like way more weight than you weigh up using mechanical advantage.
I heard something the other day that like blew my mind, and it's think about building the Great Pyramid upside down and then like floating it into place. Some of the great big stones that are strange and odd make a lot more sense if you built it upside down.
I don't know what you mean.
So there's these great big fucking stones that are like on the second or third story of that thing that like form the roof of the king's chamber that basically we couldn't put in place today with a dozen modern cranes. They're just way too fucking big. They're way too big for them to have done either. But like if somehow you had the ability to like levitate the whole building somehow, you could have built this thing upside down by carving it around those stones and just flipping it. And that's almost what it looks like was done.
Sounds like what they did to me.
I don't know.
That's what the aliens did.
Giant ass stones.
The aliens take you and they flip you upside down and they carve on your penis and then.
Nope.
Yep.
Not
Dude,
even close.
carve your penis.
Nope.
Yeah,
See what actually happened. What actually
Baiting
happened,
you.
Ted,
You were baiting
was,
me. I know it.
back in the day, their technology got so advanced that it just destroyed their entire society.
Well, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. They have greatly increased the life expectancy of those who live in advanced countries, but they have destabilized society, have made life unfulfilling, have subjected human beings to indignities, have led to widespread psychological suffering in the third world, to physical suffering as well, and have inflicted severe damage on the natural world. The continued development of technology will worsen the situation. It will certainly subject human beings to greater indignities and inflict greater damage on the natural world. It will probably lead to greater social disruption and psychological suffering, and may lead to increased physical suffering, even in advanced countries. Shall I go on?
I think we need to talk about this for a second. The ancient night strike theory is real. He could have time traveled back there and like jerked off into a pond and created civilization and then gone forward enough to have like little 8 people to rule over, and like that's how we got the pyramids.
Dude, all you'd have to do to like create life on a planet is like, if there's liquid water anyway, is go to the liquid water and take a bath and then leave.
And jerk off in it.
I mean, jerking off wouldn't hurt. Might not help, but it wouldn't hurt.
It always helps.
Yeah, so Daniel dropped in $5. Said it also could have been Ancient Night Strike back when he was sporting the mean mustache.
Mm-hmm.
The mean mustache. That wasn't the ancient aliens. It was the Angry Night Strike with the mean mustache.
He just jerked off into the ocean and
gives new meaning to panspermia.
Mm-hmm.
You ever hear? Okay, so Gwar. There's a band called Gwar. If you don't know, everyone knows Gwar.
Yes, Gwar.
Gwar on their first album had like their book of Genesis written, like in the pamphlet,
mm-hmm.
and it went something like, "The Almighty God Gwar took a giant shit, and hence the universe was created." I like that. That's probably the closest to the truth.
That explains entropy quite well. It's all just going to shit.
Entropy is a weird thing in nature, isn't it? Because like everything tends towards disorder and chaos, and yet life tends to bring things into order at the same time. And life is natural, yet entropy is natural. So life is contrary to the natural order, which is disorder.
Yeah, and it can actually be represented in a spiral because you go in and out, like you go past like an eclipse pattern, right? And it has this diminishing or accelerating returns. And seeing the Fibonacci sequence like replicated throughout nature, kind of in a weird way, it's almost like a visual representation of like, I guess you would say, the chronological cycle of life and destruction and universal expansion. It's kind of interesting. Gets the old noggin ticking. So NEA, you you love the movies that take place during the Pleistocene era, right?
What?
Sure.
Well, I mean, Ice Age. The Ice Age, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Jesus, Matt.
You bet.
Oh, dude, no, I was just curious, like, what you thought of Alpha, man.
Alpha, the
Movie.
dog movie.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. That was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
I only saw it once, but I remember liking it. I thought it was well done. I wasn't sure. Like, I thought it was going to be something kind of stupid and just way too geared towards kids. It wasn't. It was actually a good movie.
I mean, I liked it more than 10,000 BC. That's my favorite, though. You guys can tell me about that.
Well, my favorite's fucking Conan.
Yeah, I love
Nice.
Conan, man. Obviously, that's what my
Like that's it. That's the one.
You know
got
they're
it
doing
right.
King Conan, right?
I
Well,
hope
they're not
so.
going to get it right because they are.
Yeah, it's on his IMDb page.
Okay. Like, honestly, the
Wait,
first Conan movie is
Schwarzenegger's
one of the
doing it?
best movies
Yeah,
ever made.
King
Like,
Conan, where he's
my
older.
God. Oh my god. I kind of want to see that now. Dom's Vibranium dropped in 5. Said, sup guys, late as always. Matt, why are you dressed like you want to sell me a dark web subscription?
He's dressed
I
like
do.
Tim Pool.
He wants to sell you the opposite of a dark web subscription.
He looks like a budget Tim Pool. Be honest, look at him.
I don't have my beanie, my toque. I need my toque.
You have a toque on.
This isn't a toque. This is
No,
a
it
He doesn't
hood.
look anything like Tim Pool.
I
Tim
thought he
Pool
had a
wears a
toque
beanie,
on.
not a hoodie. Tim Pool does not wear sunglasses, and Tim Pool does
Has no
he?
facial hair.
I'm sure. I don't remember if he has facial hair right now, but I don't think he does.
I thought he was
It's
wearing
sparse.
a beanie. God damn it! I didn't realize it was a hood. I'm
And he's
blind.
like half Asian.
Yeah.
Well,
Matt
that's one.
looks
That's the
like
Wish.com
right now.
version.
Yeah.
we-
Other than that, they look exactly the same, though.
Other than that, I'm gonna go get a mixed drink.
Ugh, don't swallow wrong, people.
Daniel
Swallow
says, just
right.
want to point
That's
out
good
last time
advice,
Matt
Matt.
dressed like that. He
Giggity.
disappeared for 3 weeks.
Giggity.
Do what? Huh?
Daniel says, just want to point out last time Matt dressed like that, he disappeared for 3 weeks.
Hey,
It
I
was
said
only
that at the
2.
start of the chat.
It was only 2. And those were for completely different
He got
reasons.
blackholed for 2 weeks by the FBI because they wanted to know if he was really Ted Kaczynski or not. That's why he won't tell you people.
Matt, if that ever happens again,
Uh-huh.
I want like updates, man. That was rough.
All right.
Yeah, we were
Let
losing
me in
our
the dark
shit
here.
here. Mountain Night
I was
Strike.
canceling trips to Oklahoma. Like I didn't know what was gonna go on, dude. Takes 1 minute to text.
I know.
Just in between barfs, you know. Like Honda, I'm barfing right now. Like, okay, you're still alive. Got it. Sorry you're barfing. Love your face. I'll do the same. I'll do the same.
All right.
Well, the worst part was the timing because then all that crazy stuff happened with the ATF and CRS arms and like in other YouTube channel, other small
I
gun
started
tubers
spreading
getting.
the rumor that it was the ATF that got you.
MSB 9021 says, "Good evening, everyone. When are y'all doing mug shouties again?"
That was kind of sad.
I think we went through like 6 months worth of pictures, so it's like it's not.
Bodies.
I did like saying guilty or not guilty based upon how attractive they were. That was pretty fun.
Well, that appeals to Honda's nature, though.
I mean, if I was on the jury, I'd have a tough time saying guilty, you know? Better fucking jury nullify me or whatever. Take me off of it. Daniel dropped in $2 that Honda was even going to do a fundraiser chat. I was.
We were gonna like sing "In the Arms of an Angel"
Because
together.
here's the thing. I knew that you weren't working because you weren't able to because things were bad. And I didn't know how long that was going to last, and I hadn't heard from you, so obviously it's still going on. So yeah, we were talking about doing some never enough ammo fundraisers. We shared your fucking
Patreon
a couple times.
Did you get any new Patreons, Matt?
I think so. I had a couple people like increase the amount they were giving.
See, everyone cares, Matt.
Yeah, we're all definitely worried.
Everyone just wants what's best for you.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Just put the package down. Stop mailing it out.
Plus, the tech genie's already out of the bottle. You're too late.
I did mail one package this week. Be very careful with those magazines.
No, he re-gifted the sprinkles.
Now I put the sprinkles in with all my preps. I had no one else to do with it.
Yeah, thanks for all the Playboys you sent me. That was nice.
It was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All the Playboys.
All those Playboy magazines.
That were all stuck together.
I was about to say, too bad they were sticky ones.
Only where the pictures are.
Well, he used the ones that had the targets on them, you know?
So, my best friend growing up, the guy who's a lawyer, right? His dad had a subscription to Playboy going back like 30 years or something like that. And he had every single Playboy from like 1968 on or some shit, right? Every single one. And you go down to the basement and there was a mountain of Playboys. A fucking mountain. And you could go down there and just look at Playboys. And like sometimes, you know, when you were over at his house, it's what we would do at a certain age. And then we got the idea that you could take these Playboys with you to school because they fit really easily in your backpack. And you could sell them to kids at school for 10 or 20 bucks, whatever they had. And we sold about, I don't know, 30-ish Playboys by the time the principal got wind of what was happening and found out who they were getting them from and traced it back to us and got caught. Yeah, that was the worst trouble I'd ever got in, and it was for peddling smut in junior high.
I actually did that same thing. I never got caught, but when I was going through the garage, I like found just this like stash from my uncle or some shit that was like, you know, like the boxes you pack books in or something. It was like a stack of those that was like 10 feet tall. That was nothing but pornos. And like I slipped them out at church and school for like 5 years slowly.
Well, I mean, he never would have known if we didn't get caught. But then since we got caught, he was super pissed because he had this like ultimate collection of Playboys that didn't miss a single month, except for the months that my kid and his friends stole and sold to people at school.
As one does.
Aren't some of the older ones actually worth some money now?
Well, I'm sure they are. I don't know. Like I bet they probably are because there's not a ton of them out there. But like I do remember like one of the ones from the 70s that I was looking at. This chick had a big old afro, and then her bush was like they combed her fucking bush into an afro too.
I mean, as one does.
As one does.
Oh, the different eras of fashion of pubic hair.
It's always been like bald as long as I've been alive.
No, like in the 80s, it was that the Brazilian strip, the landing strip.
I wasn't alive in the 80s.
Oh yeah, you're young.
That's why I like hanging out with you, Matt.
So I'm the only one here that's older than you?
And that's why I didn't like it when you were gone.
He felt like the old man.
Here.
I was around for part of the 80s.
I was born in 1990.
How old is Travis P11?
He's like my age. I think we're almost exactly the same age.
Okay, so he is older.
Bunch of old fuckers.
Next year's this year. So this is my last year in my 30s, actually, coming up on my birthday next week.
Jesus Christ, you sound like a fucking fetus.
Yeah,
39?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm
You're
only
younger.
Your voice does not sound like you're fucking 39.
I know. Yeah, I have that baby face thing too, so it really sucks.
Well, it's better than the other fucking way around. Like, god damn, you're 39?
Damn, how could you be 39? You look like you're like 97.
You got some city miles on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so like as part of my job,
Been rode hard and put up wet.
I often have to check people's IDs, regardless if I think you're fucking 21 or not. You know, like you order a beer, I check your ID. I don't care if you're 70. You know, because that's just.
You ever have people get offended at you?
Oh yeah, all the time. But it's just part of the fucking job, and if you're not doing it, and you know, like you get fired for it. So I'm not gonna get fired. So I'll check your fucking ID. I don't care. And I'll check someone's ID where I'm like, all right, I'll judge them on like, are you older than me? Right? Mm-hmm. And if I think that you're younger than me and I check your ID and you're older than me, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. It doesn't happen very often. If I think that you're older than me and I check your ID and you're younger than me, I kind of laugh to myself and give you your ID back. Bring you your beer. You balding fat piece of shit.
Who only tips $1?
Yeah, on 64. Jesus, they left $65. It was $63.97. So I got $1.03.
That sounds about right on the
But
service.
then you got to tip out 2%. So $60 worth of sales, I actually lost like 20 cents.
That's such a dick move.
Oh, I was
Well, that's
nice
like I heard a story a while back where this woman got $1,000 or a couple of grand as a tip, and then the boss forced her to share the tip when they never did it before.
And
Yep.
she took the money and quit and said, fuck you, as she should have, because that's not the way it works. If you, and what she should have done is willingly said, like, goddamn, I got a fat fucking tip tonight. Here's for, you know, like $100 for the kitchen. Everyone gets 20. Here's $100 for the fucking, like, other people who did stuff tonight that helped me out. And I'm taking 800, you know. But they were trying to get her to split it evenly, and she's like, fuck that, and quit and left and took her money. And that's baller. You can't force someone to do that.
You can't teach that, Honda.
I don't know. I got like, there was one night, it was like almost a year ago now, Jesus, where this lady came in and she got food for her and her daughter, paid for it, and gave me $100 tip. And I was like, God damn. Like, thank you so much. Like, I was like very thankful. And, you know, like, if you need anything at all, like, totally just let me know. And then she's like, yeah, actually, can you get another Sprite for the kiddo? I'm like, you got it. And I went and grabbed a Sprite and came back and then gave her the Sprite, and she handed me another $100 bill.
Damn.
And I'm like, what the, like, are you serious right now? And she's like, no, I see what you're doing and I appreciate it. And I want you to have this money. And I'm like, okay, well,
I want that penis inside me tonight. That's what she was telling me.
Well, every time that I came to the table and, you know, here's a side of salsa, here's a side of ranch, $100 bill, $100 bill. Like, fuck, dude. If you need anything, let me know.
Yeah, right.
She wanted to park that Honda in her garage.
Mm-hmm. Put that tongue to some better use, Honda.
I do what I can for the people. I don't know. I just try to be like really nice to everybody at work. And I think that's why I get so fed up. And, you know, like you only have so much nice to give out before you hop on a chat and yell at Night Strike.
Well, sometimes you just got to curse Night Strike out. I mean, he brings it
honestly, I think that's where it's coming. Because, like, I fucking, God, dude, like it just sucks your soul away.
Man, like, honestly, he's God of the universe, and I blame him for many things. So, like, we have animosity, and he won't acknowledge it. Part of it.
You guys are okay now, though, yeah? Ish?
I don't know. As far as I know.
You were cordial on the chat when you were both on a chat the other day.
Yeah, that doesn't mean shit though.
It's a step though.
We need Night Strike to come to fucking Tulsa. I'll rumble down under.
I think people would pay to see that fight, Honda.
Intensity in 10 cities.
All right, guys, I gotta bounce. I'll catch you later.
All right, man. Later.
Well, thanks for coming. Have a good night.
All right, later.
Later, dude. I love that guy, but he talks a lot sometimes.
Yeah, old Saber Wolf, or what the fuck his name is, chatty.
He's chatty. He's got a lot of energy. But I like, part of me is like, like talking too much, but another part of me is like, well, at least you're like, I don't know what I'm saying. You're agreeing with me with the words you're saying, so you're either an FBI agent or you're cool.
Yeah, exactly. He might be a Chinese robot like Duke.
What do you guys think? Is he an FBI agent like Duke?
He's your personal FBI agent.
Yeah, like he was assigned to me.
Yeah, he's been assigned to us to infiltrate.
Nah, he's not FBI.
Yeah, Duke would know.
Duke and I would know.
Duke's got all the lists.
Yeah, he's not on the. I think it'd be much more obvious.
Are you okay, Duke?
Duke
No.
is sleepy.
I'm sick. I got sick.
Oh,
I'm sick.
Oh, poor Dukelet.
Did you catch the vid?
I don't think so, but it's been bad. A couple of days. I'll be all right.
I'm surprised working at a hospital you don't get sick like all the fucking time.
I don't work at a hospital. I work at a garbage company.
That's what I meant.
As a garbage man. Waste sanitation.
He's a professional garden gnome, goddammit.
Go all around picking up people's garbage. It's a good job. Thankful to have it.
That's so great. Sorry, Duke.
It's all right.
It's making me laugh so goddamn much.
Did you talk about Russia and about how that's going to knock off World War III?
Yeah.
No, what's going on in Russia?
The
Ukraine.
State Department released yesterday that an invasion is imminent within the next 24 to 48 hours. They've taken everybody out of the embassy, and I guess Biden talked to Putin for over an hour, which I don't believe that for 1 minute, because I don't think Putin could stand to talk to that guy for an hour.
Well, old Corn Pop did it,
Well, Corn Pop was a bad dude.
He was.
Yeah.
He was in Russia, and he had some nukes, man.
Oh, but also I just want to point out I'm super glad that that a country like Ukraine had their citizens training with cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
And so, in all reality, it's just another reason to be thankful for the Second Amendment, because me and mine won't ever be running around with fucking cardboard cutouts if, there's an imminent invasion.
You're teaching these 9-year-olds how to disassemble and reassemble and load a fucking AK.
You might need this in your future, child.
Wasn't there a story that came out a couple of days ago, or maybe a week or so ago? A woman that bought I believe it was an AR with a suppressor on it because of all the tension that's going on over there. And they made a big deal about it.
Yes, and they in the caption was, woman buys high-powered rifle to help defend herself in the imminent invasion. And the question was, it's okay for them, but not okay for us, type deal.
Yeah.
It shows her sitting in her kitchen with a pretty nice high-end AR with a suppressor on the end and a nice optic on it, I believe.
The fuck? Russia isn't going to invade Ukraine. I am. There you go. All the waifu people are happy now.
Man, that's like a picture for vagina faggots.
Foreign donors, contributors by individuals of more than $50,000 to the Clinton Foundation between 1999 and 2014 by nationality or donor. Number one donator by country, Ukraine. I don't know what that proves.
It proves that the Clintons are in Ukraine's pocket. Why ever they would need that?
Wow, that's the size of Ukraine?
Yes.
Yeah, it's bigger than I thought.
Wasn't it Ukraine that Hillary sold plutonium to?
Probably.
I forget what the deal was. They were like shipping it through Canada, right? And then it was going to, I think, Ukraine. Yeah, you're right. It was the Ukraine. Sorry, I had to go into the memory hole there.
Go through the Rolodex of the memory.
Yep, exactly. Wow. Ukraine's bigger than I thought. What part is the part that they're talking about? Just like this part right here is the Crimean area, is the western part, or the eastern part rather, excuse me.
I think it's the eastern part. It's overall, you got Russia who wants to use this as a buffer. They're still afraid of the old World War II tactic of just rushing into their country. The border to Moscow is only like 70 kilometers from any part of Ukraine. I just
well, they want access to the Black Sea or whatever, right?
That's the second part. The second part is more access to the Black Sea. I think it's more about reestablishing the Soviet Union as well. I think they want it all but in name. So,
well, they've already taken bits of the Ukraine. Like this looks like Germany before fucking World War II with them. Like they're taking little bits of this, little bits of that, and now they're about to invade Poland.
California has a bigger GDP than all of Russia, though. So, like, yes, they're a threat in the fact that they can create technology and do stuff, but like, they're not like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like you shouldn't base it upon GDP, but ability to expand your power and threats to foreign nations and shit like that. In which case, maybe you're right. But I just don't feel like they're the threat that they used to be.
I think California has an inflated GDP because of Hollywood, so it's not really an accurate comparison.
I don't know. Like, Russia has done some shenanigans in the past, but I feel like if like situations were reversed, like roles reversed, right? Like America's done a lot more crazy shit than Russia has over the years.
Well, we did attack our own towers in New York and launch an invasion of two foreign countries, one of which had nothing to do with even our own supposed version of that story.
We've been in almost constant war since World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from World War II to Korea to Vietnam to a little break for a little while. Then we were all over the place in all these little wars. And then we were in Iraq. And then we had a little break again. And then we were in Iraq again. And then Afghanistan. And fucking all over the fucking place. And we're still all over the place. And places like Yemen. You know, like, it's fucking weird, dude. Like, we can't fucking stop fighting people. Why? What is the point of sticking our nose in everyone's business all the time?
The world police.
We make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and then like we make all these countries bad in the first place by taking the good people out of them and importing them to America. Like, hey, you're smart, come to America and like be a doctor here. Oh, well, now Afghanistan has one less doctor. It's like shit, dude. Like, no wonder it sucks to live there. The people who can make it a better place of live are here now, or in Canada, or in UK, or somewhere else. I don't know. The world does feel like it's kind of getting really bad.
I've decided I'm building an off-grid cabin, Honda.
Do we ever get to a breaking point, or does it just slowly fucking boil?
No, I think we're coming to a breaking point soon.
I know. I think we're going to keep just slowly sliding, man. It's going to get a little bit worse every year. And you might be right. Like,
if there is a breaking point, what do you think it is?
The value of the dollar.
Yeah.
Probably.
When that destabilizes and money no longer has value, or whatever you want to call that, or how that looks, that's the breaking point for here. And that would be a devastating event in which people couldn't come back from. People are too soft. They're taken care of. There's if you don't work, don't worry. We'll support you. Hey, you can't figure out how to take care of your family? Don't worry. We'll base your rent off of how much you make, and then we'll make sure you never lose any of your utilities. What happens when people have to take care of themselves? This won't happen. So I think it's when that happens, and we're no longer this big superpower that has limitless money, that's going to change everything for us here. And once we go, everybody else goes.
I will agree with that.
I think it's going to get real dark in our near future.
I think it goes to like a Wild West.
Yep. Oh,
where
we keep talking about that, dude. The new West is coming.
On like a large scale where, like there's some law. If you go steal somebody's horse, there's going to be a bunch of dudes coming to get you. But if your neighbor comes and disrespects you, there's no one to go. Like there's no one to go to. That no one's going to care that much. It's kind of that kind of type deal.
Is that why they want to disarm everybody? Because they want to like limit the fucking personal damage that people do to each other? Because everyone's got a gun. But if they can take away enough people's guns, then when the fucking lights go out, less people will die because there'll be less people with guns.
No, the thing with the guns is they don't want mobs of armed people going through all the rich neighborhoods killing them. And they know that that's exactly what's going to happen.
Or they would just be able to subjugate people. Because, like, 10 dudes with ARs could do a lot. But, if everybody's unarmed with sticks and sharp, rocks and sharp sticks, they're going to do a lot less.
I don't know if they want a new feudal system. And if they want a new feudal system, then they need to have all the guns and all the power so that their serfs can't, like, overthrow them.
I really like my AR-9.
I really like my fucking 320 Flux Raider. I can't wait until we have our shootout, Honda.
It's too bad Duke can't come.
Duke can't come.
Ask your wife if he can come play with us for one day.
He's a fake Chinese robot. That's why he can't come. I just realized.
All right, let's look up how. Oh, God damn it!
Wow.
She has really nice. Whatever that's called.
You're a 13-hour drive away, Duke.
Come on,
maybe
Duke.
Maybe 14 from where you're at.
That's some of those like yoga pants that make everyone's ass look good, though. They're like cheater pants. Not so much on those.
Yeah, you're 14 hours away, Duke.
Yeah, I get it. It's just family stuff comes first, and not that you guys aren't important. It's just one of those things. It's just a time mission.
Translation: I am a Chinese robotic software that cannot be seen in person, so I'm going to use my wife as an excuse.
No.
All I'm saying is you leave in the morning, like, bye, honey, I'll see you in 2 days. You go out there, we hang out for that night, because you'll get there, like, later that day, but, like, still awake, and so we can chill a little bit. You'll have a whole day to hang out with your friends and play. And then the next morning you leave and you go back and you see your wife again.
I just take a flight. I'm not going to drive that far. It's ridiculous.
Even better. Then you can do it in one day. Fly out that morning, hang out for the day, fly back that night. 8 hours of hanging out.
And we promise we will not open that fish while you're there.
All right.
Well, we'll see.
That was almost hypnotic.
April?
It was fine till my son
April
just walked
2nd
by.
and 3rd, I believe.
April?
April.
We'll see. Never know.
He said we'll see. That means yes.
Yes, that means yes. We'll get to
That
see
means
it.
yes. I heard we'll see, which means yes.
Right.
So,
Duke's going to be there.
I think the only responsible thing to do with that fish is open it in Wanamaker next to the ATF booth and like leave it in their garbage can. I think that's the only thing we can do with that fish.
I think that's how you get to never visit the state of Oklahoma again.
Now what you do is you tape it to the underside of one of their seats so they won't find it.
Because I don't think they'd extradite you for like a can of fish.
Well,
But-
my thing is, if you opened it up, realized it was bad, and then threw it away, and just so happened to be over there when you did it, like, how is that anything?
Like if there's a trash can that's in the
Yes.
vicinity of the NRA area.
Oh, there's one of those for sure. If you want to do NRA instead of ATF, the NRA and the ATF are both there, though.
Maybe it would be a good idea to wear a mask while you do it. I don't know.
Maybe. Like, look like Matt there with a mask on, too.
Yeah, do you have a mask handy, Matt?
No, I don't.
Go full, like, Unabomber.
If I put a mask
like-
on right now, I just look like Antifa.
It's like the Unabomber, but with Ludafisk.
The Antifa bomber. That sounds like red flag words to the ATF or whoever's listening. Man, I get tired of that idea. Like, even if it's not true, like, it's still stifling our speech and our ability to like talk about things and, you know, what ideas we can express, because you can't say things online, you know. Bouncing titties. Yeah.
Do some Halo.
Matt likes all the big ass chicks.
Yeah, you like the biggins.
I'm wearing a cheeseburger shirt.
Look at that, like Jesus. Shake that thing, miss. Come on, shake that thing, miss. All right, I think we're done here. I think you fucking killed it, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for killing the chat.
Penis.
Thank you for ending the chat when it was supposed to
didn't do
end. We've been going for an hour and 43 minutes, which is about how long we normally go for the Gay Frog chats. I do appreciate everyone showing up, super chats, everything that everyone does out there.
Remember,
look out
same
for-
gay frog time, same gay frog channel.
Look out for video upcoming detailing what happened with the HBO Matt situation, and I'll include a little bit of clippage from what was said and done in that exchange, what was reported. But
We didn't
Other than
debate
that-
whether 9/11 had happened or not at all tonight. We should do that real quick.
other than that, we'll be back tomorrow night for the free-for-all chat,
Free for all chat.
where we're just going to let our balls hang out and swing in
Yep.
whatever direction they might go.
It's Valentine's Day. You can't have a chat on that.
Oh, are you going to do a chat tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a chat tomorrow. It's not like we're going out to eat or anything.
You should take the wife out to eat. We'll do a late chat.
I didn't even realize it was Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Yes, for all the people watching that have significant others, tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you should probably do something about that tonight or tomorrow morning.
I didn't think about that. Like, we could have a public service.
Yeah.
Well, hell, my wife and I forgot our 10-year anniversary. We didn't realize until almost a week later.
Well, you've been dealing with shit. Maybe it'd be a good idea to do something a little special, you know?
Yeah, she has been there with me every day since it happened. I mean, hell, when I called her that morning it happened, she called her boss and said, I'm gone. And got home in probably 45 minutes. So, yeah, she's been there. She's been good.
Yeah, maybe take her to her favorite restaurant or somewhere that you know she likes to go or something.
Write her a letter. Chicks dig letters.
I don't even know what to do with girls anymore, man. I'm lost. I think I know what they like, but here I am.
Girls like diamonds and flowers and anal.
Y'all want to play? Y'all want to do some Halo?
My wife hates flowers. She doesn't see the point in them because you buy them and then they die a couple of days later.
I actually agree. I don't like flowers at all. I'd much rather have jewelry or chocolates or anything but flowers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night, guys. Peace out. Have a good night. Happy
Later, everyone.
Day. Fuck the Super Bowl.